low-lying, but not in a negative sense like we would think. It means to stay under the mighty hand of God, to wait on Him instead of trying to get things done yourself. Let me ask you a question. Who's in your life that you're trying to change right now? Little low grumbles on them. Your husband, your wife, which one of your kids? Your mom, your dad, your neighbor. You can't change people. You can pray for them. But only God can do an inside job. And Dave always likes to remind people, when you start praying for somebody, I mean really sincerely praying for them, first of all, don't ever ask God to change somebody else without first asking Him to change you. Because you don't want to start your prayer in a spirit of pride. God, change them, change them, change them, change them. I well remember when I was praying for Dave to change. And I mean, I was after it. I was loud. God, you got to change Dave. I can't put up with this much longer. God, you got to change Dave. And God said, Dave's not the problem. I thought, well, who is? There's only me and him. And I tell you what, God opened my eyes and showed me what it was like to live with me. And I cried for 3 days. So some of you that are blaming everything on everybody else, you might want to take an hour or two and look at yourself. Maybe, just maybe. Maybe not. You know, it's easy to blame everybody else for our problems. Everything's your fault, your fault, your fault. Well, I wouldn't even act like this if you didn't, if you didn't, if you didn't. You know, each one of us is responsible for our own behavior no matter how somebody else acts. Amen? And let me just throw this in too. Stop giving somebody else the responsibility for your joy. Come on. Well, you didn't make me happy. It is lowliness of mind, and I love this, not to think less of yourself, but to think of yourself less. I'll say it again. Humility is lowliness of mind. In other words, you don't think more highly of yourself than you ought to. You don't think you're better than other people. Matter of fact, you really just don't have yourself on your mind all that much. Because you're busy thinking about what you might do for somebody else. If you want to get so happy you can't hardly stand yourself, you just ask God to work in you to get over being selfish. And it ain't going to be easy. And it'll be a lifelong project. But none of us can be selfish and happy at the same time. See, I thought, oh, you're the problem, you're the problem, you're the problem, you're the problem. I even thought sometimes God was the problem. And the devil was certainly the problem. We like to blame everything on him. But I was the problem. That didn't mean that everybody else was doing everything right. But the devil loves it when he can get us looking at everybody else and what's wrong with them. Because then we don't pay attention to what God's trying to do in us or tell us. And so nothing ever changes. So it's not thinking less of yourself, but it's thinking of yourself less. My gosh, don't you ever just get sick of me, me, me. If I'm all I have in my life, what a pitiful life it is. Jesus humbled himself. Do you know that when he washed his disciples' feet, there was no job that was any lowlier? The lowest of servants in the house had the job of foot washing. And so in John 13, when we see that beautiful story of how he took off his garment and put on a servant's towel and got a basin of water and a towel and knelt down and washed his disciples' feet. And you get all the way to verse 17, and it says, now knowing these things, blessed are you if you do them. And that doesn't necessarily mean that we have to get a pan of water and go wash everybody's feet. He's talking about having a servant's attitude. An attitude of what can I do for you? How can I help you? What would happen? How many of you are married? Okay. What would happen if, when you got married, your goal was to just see how happy you could make the other person? Go ahead, snicker all you want to. But see, we expect other people to make us happy. Isn't that right? We expect, you didn't make me happy. And so then this would be the first thought that I would have. Well, if I don't take care of me, who's going to? Well, God. At least that's what he says. But in order to experience that, you have to wait a little while. And nothing will change for a while, and the devil will tell you it's not working. And you better get in there and take care of this yourself, and you better tell them that they're not going to treat you like that. If you think that you're going to walk all over me, you have got another thing coming. Because I am far too important for you to treat me like that. Come on, I got some relatives out there. Hey, I can only preach this because I've lived it and still live it. I've gone through all this stuff. Man, when you grew up like I did, you had a bad case that if I don't take care of myself, nobody's going to. And I didn't trust anybody, especially not a man. And then you get married, and then if you do get serious about the Bible and you come across those scriptures that say, a wife should adapt to her husband. Oh, I can still feel the pain that I felt the first time I read that. I didn't even know how to spell adapt, let alone do it. I wanted everybody to adapt to me. Come on. It is so painful to give it up and trust God to take care of you. I guess that's really what I'm asking you to do tonight. Stop arguing and fighting and being mad at people and arguing with people